Hello ladies and gentlemen, C Centurion 262 here, and today we have some interesting information regarding update 11.3. This video will be about two parts because it's quite a lengthy load of information, because it's all the dev blogs since the first update. Since the first one they mentioned, but anyway. The first dev blog starts off from the 9th of March and announces new ships: the Italian aircraft carrier Aquila, I'll say, which is at tier 8, and American cruiser San Diego, which is again at tier 8. So for the Aquila, it states, an aircraft carrier laid down for the Italian Navy during World War II, intended to be the first unit of a multi-ship class. Work on the ship was cancelled with the nation's surrender in 1943. Aquila has access to two types of squadrons: attack aircraft and torpedo bombers, so she'll be missing her dive bombers. The planes have low HP and relatively high speed. Each squadron of attack aircraft has a large number of planes divided into two attacking flights, and is equipped with accurate armor-piercing rockets. While the rockets deal low damage individually, a well-executed strike can deal good damage to a target. Aquila's aerial torpedoes enjoy a high base damage. So, that's that for what they say, so we can go on to statistics, which starts off with hit points, which is 51,100, and plating, which is 19 mils, which is similar all round if I'm honest. Secondary armament is 8 singular 135mm cannons, which have a range of 6.6 kilometers. Maximum HE shell damage is 1,950, with a chance to cause for fire is 9%. HE initial shell velocity is 875 meters a second. So A defense, she has 12 singular 65mm cannons, 22 lots of 6 20mm cannons, that's how you're gonna put it. Anyway, short range, she has a continuous DPS of 308, a hit probability of 95%, action zone is 2 kilometers. So mid range, she has a continuous DPS of 196, a hit probability of 100%, and an action zone 3.7 kilometers. So maximum speed is 30 knots, turning circle radius is 950 meters, and rudder shift time is 12.9 seconds. So she doesn't seem to be the quickest, the nimblest of aircraft carriers. Surface detectability 13.9 kilometers and air detectability 11. Available consumables: slot 1 is damage control party, and slot 2 is fighter squadron, so that's just his base standard stuff for all carriers. Aircraft, she has attack aircraft and torpedo bombers, as we said before. So the attack aircraft have hit points of 1030, cruising speed of 192, so yes, very fast. Size of attacking flight is 5, and aircraft per squadron is 10. Aircraft restoration time is 58 seconds, and detectability range is 10 kilometers. Number of aircraft on deck is 24. And rockets in a payload 12, and maximum rocket damage is 1,150. So for the torpedo bombers, hit points 1,150, cruising speed is 169 knots, size of attacking flight 2, aircraft per squadron 8, aircraft restoration time 68 seconds, detectability range 10 kilometers, number of aircraft on deck 26, torpedoes in payload 1. Maximum torpedo damage is 8,367. With an aerial speed of 30 knots, torpedo range is 3.5 kilometers, and the arming distance is 403 meters. As it always says, all stats are listed without crew and upgrade modifiers. The stats are subject to change during testing. So, overall really, the Aquila seems reasonable. She doesn't seem too overpowered, which is good. She seems to be reasonably well equipped, if I'm honest, but obviously lacks the dive bombers. The accurate armor-piercing rockets can be quite effective, and the torpedoes seem reasonable as well. So, next for the San Diego, it states, an Atlanta-class light cruiser with a main battery made up of dual-purpose guns. During the ship's 1943 to 1944 refit, its armament was reinforced with 40mm Bofors autocannons. San Diego is similar in some ways to the light cruiser Austin. It has unlimited charges of the main battery reload booster consumable, and it equips the hydroacoustic search and defensive AA consumables in 2 separate slots. Furthermore, the ship has effective AA and has access to SAP shells instead of AP. San Diego has low HP, good concealment, and 2 quadruple torpedo launchers. So, for the San Diego statistics, she has 27,900 hit points with 16mm standard plating, fires duration of 30 seconds. Next, main battery, she has 8 twin 127mm guns, which are her main armament, so 5-inch guns. A firing range is 16 kilometers, which is quite effective, which is quite good really, considering she's only got 5-inch guns. Anyway, maximum HE shell damage 1,800. HE shell armor penetration 21mm. A chance to cause fires 5%. HE initial shell velocity is 792 meters a second. So it seems that she might not be very effective at burning battleships to the ground. Maximum SAP shell damage 2,700, SAP shell armor penetration 36mm, and SAP initial shell velocity is 792 meters a second. Reload time 8.5 seconds. I mean, not being funny, I think stuff like, you know, the British cruisers are faster reload than that, and they've got bigger guns which deal more damage. You know, I think that's a bit slower, but I suppose it's kind of countered with the main battery reload booster. Anyway, 180-degree turn time is 7.2 seconds, maximum dispersion is 144, and sigma is 2.05. Torpedo tubes, 2 quadruple 533mm, maximum damage of 16,633. Range is 4.5 kilometers, speed of 65 knots, reload time 87 seconds, so reasonably quick loading torpedoes. Launch 180-degree turn time is 7.2 seconds, and torpedo detectability 1.3. So next, AA defense, 15 singular 20mm cannons with 8 twin 127, so a main battery 5-inch guns, and 1 quadruple 40mm cannon with 3 twin 40mm, which are the Bofors that was mentioned before. A defense short range, continuous DPS is 116, hit probability 85%, action zone is 2 kilometers. Mid range, the continuous DPS is 91, hit probability is 90%, and action zone is 3.5 kilometers. A defense long range, continuous DPS of 168, hit probability 90%, and action zone 5.8 kilometers. Newer explosions in the salvo 7, damage within an explosion on 1,540, action zone is 3.5 to 5.8 kilometers. So maximum speed 32.5 knots, so pretty standard for tier 8 now. Turning circle radius 610 meters, rudder shift time 7.3 seconds, so reasonably nimble like the Atlanta if I'm honest. Surface detectability 11.8, air detectability 7.2, and detectability after firing main guns in smoke is 5.1. So available consumables are the standard damage control party, then you have the defensive AA fire, main battery reload booster, and hydroacoustic search. I should mention that they are all in different slots, so you don't have to pick and choose between what you want. So as it says again, all stats are listed without crew and upgrade modifiers. The stats are subject to change during testing. So, if I am honest, San Diego seems like an interesting choice what they've done. I mean, if I'm honest, you've got a pretty good firing range, but reasonably slow rate of fire, which is countered with the main battery reload booster. Anyway, the SAP might be a wrong move for wargaming. I think, if I'm honest, SAP is becoming slightly too used these days, you know. But anyway, it seemed like it could be an interesting choice. She seems to be nimble enough and has good detectability with great AA defense and pretty good torps, but only 4 on each side. So, next, the second devlog for update 11.3. This devlog is dated the 10th of March and announces the French battleship Petrie. So, it states, a battleship armed with 12 431mm guns, which is 17-inch guns, and an AA battery composed of 1950s era weaponry. That should be reasonable. In keeping with the theme of high-tier French battleships, Petrie enjoys a good top speed, a strongly protected citadel and enhanced agility thanks to the engine boost consumable and a unique combat instructions effect. With regard to armament, the main battery's 12 17-inch guns are spread across 3 quadruple turrets and have a high rate of fire. The quick-firing secondary battery boasts a long range. Activating Petrie's special combat instructions further improves the main battery's fire rate and the armour penetration of both main and secondary batteries, as well as the top speed. Interesting. So her characteristics are, she has 108,900 hit points, so quite beefy. She has 32mm of plating, and she has obviously the main battery guns, which is 3 quadruple 431mm guns, 17-inch guns. A firing range of 26.6 kilometers. HE shell damage maximum is 6,300. HE shell armor penetration 72mm. Chance to cause fire 48%. HE initial shell velocity is 840 meters a second. Maximum armor piercing shell damage is 14,500. AP initial shell velocity is 840 meters a second. With the reload time of 28 seconds, that's pretty quick for quite big guns. 180 degree turn time is 36 seconds. Maximum dispersion is 327. So it seems reasonably not too bad for a battleship, I don't think. Sigma is 2.0 though. Secondary armament, 8 twin 100mm guns with a range of 8.3 kilometers. Maximum HE shell damage 1,400. Chance to cause fire 6%, and initial shell velocity 780 meters a second. She also has three triple 152mm guns, so 6-inch guns, which I assume will be like the Dunkirk and Richelieu and stuff, which have them placed at the rear. But anyway, they have a range of 8.3 as well. HE shell damage is 2,200 maximum. Chance to cause fire 12%, and HE initial shell velocity is 870 meters a second. AA defense, she has the same secondary 8 twin 100mm guns and the 3 triple 152mm, as well as 8 twin 57mm cannons. So mid-range, she has continuous DPS of 329, hit probability of 75%, action zone is 3.8 kilometers. Long range, she has a continuous DPS of 326, hit probability of 75 and 75%, and action zone is 6 kilometers. Number of explosions in the salvo is 12. Damage within an explosion is 1,680. Action zone is 3.5 to 6 kilometers, and maximum speed 31 knots. So quite fast. But turning radius circle is 1,090 meters. Rudder shift time 19.6 seconds. So you're not exactly going to be spinning around in a hurry. Anyway, the surface detectability is 17.8 kilometers. Air detectability is 15.1, and detectability after firing main guns in smoke 18.1. Available consumables, so you have the standard damage control party, repair party for battleships, and then you have the engine boost. So the combat instructions gives an increase of the ship's speed by 7%, HE shell armor penetration 90%, main caliber guns reload time minus 20%, and action time for 50 seconds, but you need to have a qualified number of gunshots, which is 12. That combat instruction seems pretty reasonable. But anyway, all stats are listed without crew and upgrade modifiers. The stats are subject to change during testing. That's obviously standard throughout all this. But, well, if I'm honest, I'm not too happy about yet more super ships in the works. I don't really have any words for them except that they're entirely weird. They're an entirely weird concept, and I don't think they should be in matches with tier 9s and 10s. I just don't think that's fair. But anyway, Petrie has large main caliber battery guns of 17-inch, which are quite heavy hitting. Paired with reasonable range secondaries, it could be quite a brawler, to be fair, with that large HP pool. So anyway, we have the third devlog for update 11.3. So this is dated the 11th of March, which now and it announces the upcoming dockyard ship Atlantico, which a lot of people have been wanting for quite a while now. And other new features including the Italian Destroyers Part 2 event, visual changes and new camos, flags and patches. So, it starts off with the Italian Destroyers Part 2 event. Early access to the tier 2 to 10 Italian destroyers continues in update 11.3. In honour of the occasion, we added a new Italian collection and the new Italian Destroyers Part 2 flag. The reward for completing each section of the collection is the ability to mount 2 flags on Italian destroyers, cruisers and battleships respectively. The final reward will be collecting all elements of the collection is Italian Destroyer Tier 6 Leon, a commemorative flag and an achievement. Collection elements can only be acquired from the Italian Destroyer's containers. We've also updated the Taranto part of the Taranto port for this event, so I'll pop up another picture of that on screen now. Looks alright, to be fair. I mean, it's just obviously the Italian colours really. But anyway, so dockyard event. In 11.3, players will be able to construct the new Pan-American battleship Tier 8 Atlantico at the Clydebank shipyard. So I'll throw a couple of pictures of what they've put up now. Event rules. The dockyard consists of 22 construction stages. Phases can be completed through dockyard combat missions or purchased for 1,750 doubloons, I'm assuming, each. Hang on, 1,750? That's gone up since last time, I'm sure. I'm sure it was 1,500 last time. That's sneaky, so they're still trying to, you know, they're still trying to grind more blood out the stone. But anyway, the combat missions can be completed during updates 11.3 and update 11.4, while the dockyard itself will remain available until the start of update 11.5. You can complete a total of 19 out of the 22 construction phases through combat missions. So there's only 22 construction phases this time instead of 28 or 29 last time, which is pretty good. It's easier to do then, I assume. If you complete the construction of Atlantico with doubloons before completing the combat missions, the missions themselves will still be available to you. However, instead of getting construction stages of reward, you will receive bundles of 250 steel. Visual changes. Camouflages mounted on an aircraft carrier will now also be painted on its aircraft squadrons, so I'll show a picture of that. Next is the added dynamic weather-based snow effects on ships, which I think looks quite nice. It looks reasonably realistic. Added HD textures for the maps Tears of the Desert, Trap, Warrior's Path, and Solomon Islands. Thanks to the improvements made to the game's visual component, ships themselves as well as the underwater landscape look more natural and aesthetically pleasing. In addition, the rendering of distant underwater objects when looking through binoculars has been improved. So yeah, it does look much nicer than what it did. Well, than what it is now. Anyway, new content. The following content will be added in the upcoming update 11.3. The permanent camouflage Japanese lacquer for Tier 7 Japanese cruiser Maya. The permanent camouflage Japanese castle for Tier 7 Petrie battleship Niigata. The permanent camouflage wings of courage for Tier 6 Italian destroyer Avery. The permanent camouflage Dusky Owl for Tier 10 Destroyer Ragnar. The permanent camouflage Doolittle raid for Tier 8 American carrier Hornet, and the camouflage Constellation and Memory. There have also been 6 new commemorative flags, which look pretty nifty. And then we have new achievements and patches. So, well, we have a King of the Sea one. I wonder if there's probably more on the way, hopefully. But anyway, that's that. Ways to obtain new content will be announced later. Please note that all information in the dev blog is preliminary. Announced adjustments and features may change multiple times during testing. The final information will be published on our game's website. Obviously, that's just all standard. But anyway, it looks quite nice. It's a nice amount of it is quite a nice amount of content on its way. So I think they're doing well. I'm not very fond of some of the camos, if I'm honest, but it's a nice amount of content. Some parts of it looking pretty nice so far. But anyway, this should be the end of part 1 of a 2-part series for update 11.3. The next part should be uploaded pretty soon after this one. Stay tuned for the next one, as it'll contain all the more recent content of the devlogs. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope to see you all very shortly. Goodbye.